If you're looking to buy a project house and do a renovation, well, this is the video for you. My name is Alex Hughes and my wife and I co-run the North Pacific Homes Group here in Victoria with eXp Realty. And in this video, we're going to be going over 3 building materials used in the past that with their remediation can cost thousands of dollars to your renovation. Number 1, the most common, you've probably already heard about it, is asbestos. Now, asbestos was a natural forming or natural occurring mineral fiber that was known for its durability, resistance to heat, and general insulating properties. And that's what it was mainly used for, was to insulate. Now, this was used mainly from the 1930s to about the 1990s and was the main form of insulation used. It was so common, in fact, that if you watch The Wizard of Oz, the scene where it's snowing, that's not snow, that's 100% pure asbestos. Unfortunately, during this time, there wasn't enough studies to determine the long-term effects of exposure to asbestos, and ultimately, it did link to mesothelioma, which is a very aggressive form of lung cancer. After that link was made, asbestos was completely banned from construction. Like I mentioned, it was very common and was the main use of insulation in the past, and where you can find it mostly is in drywall mud, vermiculite, which is mostly used in attic insulation, various ceiling and floor tiles, which is generally about a 12 by 12 tile, and heating duct vents. Now, the only way that you can actually tell if it's asbestos, there are some visual markers, but you have to get it tested by a professional. If your property does have asbestos, don't worry, you can have it professionally removed, but this is where it does get expensive. And essentially there are 2 ways to do it. You can either get it removed by a professional remediator like a hazmat, depending on the area you're in, or you could try to remove it yourself and have a professional come in and make sure that there's no more left. One thing that's very important to note with asbestos is that it is only dangerous once it gets airborne. So if it's something that's in the floor or if it's around a heating duct and you're not doing a renovation right away, you can seal it up in the meantime and keep you and your family safe until it's time to do the renovation. Now, the second building material we're going to be talking about is polybutylene plumbing, also known as Poly-B. Now, this showed up in about the 1970s and was used extensively till about 2006. Poly-B was used in both residential and commercial practices and was marketed as a cost-effective replacement for copper, and also due to the fact that it was made with plastic resin, it was also a lot easier to manipulate into tighter spaces. Again, unfortunately, not enough testing was done to this product's longevity, and it turns out that if it had certain exposures to chemicals that were found in our water, such as chlorine, this led to a rapid rate of deterioration and the product would leak. This caused massive issues between Canada and United States and actually led to successful class action lawsuits, ultimately leading to a ban in about 2006. Now, this isn't meant to freak you out. Poly-B is used absolutely everywhere and is still very present in our market. An inspector will easily be able to point it out. Of course, it will say Poly-B on the tube itself, but it does have a kind of purplish blue tinge to it. Now, if you do come across Poly-B in the home and it's still being used, that is totally okay, but if you are doing a renovation, you should look at replacing it. Where you might run into issues is with insurance companies. Insurance companies, of course, do not like this product, and where the main kind of factor is on the joints of the product. The insurance company will not insure your home if you've got plastic fittings around the joints. However, if you do have copper fittings around the joints, insurance companies will insure the house with a premium. Now, the final product we're talking about is something that is a lot more apparent in these older cities, and that's knob and tube wiring. This knob and tube wiring was the main source of electrical installation from about 1880 to 1940. Essentially, ceramic knobs are used to anchor the wires, and these ceramic knobs are nailed into wooden structures in order to keep the wires away from the building materials. Then, ceramic tubes are used when the wires are passing through the studs and the joists in order to help prevent chafing up against the wood. Back during their days of installation, this was considered an easy install and quite advanced because the wires were exposed and suspended in the air. The air would actually cool off the wires and prevent overheating, which is ridiculous. So there are a few issues, of course, with this knob and tube installation. Number 1 is the fact that they were insulated with rubberized cloth. Now, the rubber aspect is good, of course, but the cloth can deteriorate over time. On top of that, there is no ground wire, which of course that is a standard in today's electrical safety, as it can help prevent shocks and fire hazards. Now, I will say I haven't seen that many homes that have active knob and tube wiring anymore. They've mostly been replaced at this point. Where I have seen it is in these old heritage homes, these designated heritage homes, or these character homes where the majority of the house has been protected and preserved. What I have been seeing most likely is that the knob and tube is still in the house, but it's been disconnected on either side. So as long as it's not active, it's not going to present an issue. If knob and tube is still in a house, it most likely has had some breakers added to it. So if you are doing a renovation, get a qualified electrician to come in here and replace it with copper wires. All right, everybody, that is it. And that is all for this video. I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We do have some great referrals for qualified professionals to help fix these issues if you run into it. If you liked the video, give us a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us, and we have other great content for you. Thank you.